again, talking that we've Formula One's race on full tip slick race. Motor Parky's second overall victory in Formula 3. This is his second season. He was the rookie champion last year, the Swede, and he takes the win, and with it, the early points lead in the championship. Callum Ilott has had a mixed weekend so far. Very, very good in qualifying with his new team, Prema. It's his third season in the championship. He started at this circuit in 2015 with Carlin and moved to VAR last year, which he finished 6th in the championship. Callum now with his third different team, Prema, the all-conquering Italian team who've won all the recent championships in terms of drivers and teams titles. So Callum going well in qualifying with front row starts in all 3 races, including 2 pole positions, his third and fourth career pole positions. But in the damp conditions, he was caught out going into Abbey Corner in race 1 when he was in second place early on in the race. Had a DNF in that one and started on pole yesterday, finished second behind Ericsson after leading the very early stages of the race. So Joel Eriksson, Callum Ilott and Jake Hughes were the top 3 in yesterday's race. Jake Hughes for the very local high-tech GP team, because they're just about a mile or so away from the circuit, high-tech GP, taking Jake Hughes from 5th to 3rd yesterday. So the points provisionally coming into this: Joel Eriksson 37 is the leader. Jake Dennis, who's only doing the first 3 rounds, is on 28, second in the championship, and tied for 3rd are Lando Norris and Max Gunter by my maths on 27 points apiece. So beautiful sunny conditions here for the 3rd race of the weekend. Chris Hartley here trackside to talk you through the action as the grid begins to be cleared. We're going to get a 33-minute plus 1 lap race. The crowd's beginning to come in because it's the World Endurance Championship event here this weekend, hence the early start for us, because it's a 6-hour race coming up for WEC. So crowd's already beginning to come in and about to be treated, I'm sure, to a spectacular Formula 3 race. So the grid for this one is based on the 2nd qualifying session and based on everybody's 2nd best lap times from that session. And once again, it's mighty, mighty close. Callum Ilott is on pole position for Prema. He looks a little bit downbeat at having to get 2nd place yesterday when he was on pole position. So didn't look entirely happy with 2nd place, but good to get some points on the board. And it's Callum who is on pole position, 9 thousandths of a second clear of Lando Norris, who's going to be starting alongside him for Carlin. So 1 minute 50.503 was the pole time for this one. 1 minute 50.12 for Lando Norris gets him on the front row of the grid. And then we've got Joel Eriksson, winner of race 2, points leader for Motor Park. 1 minute 50.568 seconds was his best lap time, or his 2nd best lap time from qualifying 2. And it means 65 thousandths of a second is all that you have between the top 3 in the grid. Max Gunter for Prema is lining up 4th. Jehan Daravala, the Indian driver who's been impressive, who's had a couple of iffy starts to the races so far, but has got good pace. He was quick in qualifying and he's come through well in the races, and he scored points in both of his first 2 races in the championship so far. So the Indian, who comes here with a very good pedigree in the Toyota Racing Series and predominantly in Formula Renault, is 5th on the grid. 6th on the grid is Jake Hughes for High Tech Grand Prix, double race winner last year in the GP3 Championship, and somebody who knows this circuit well, Jake Hughes, having raced here in the early stages of his kart racing career. He was the BRDC Formula 4 champion with 4 wins in 2013, and one of those wins came here at Silverstone. That was one of the 2 years he's been nominated for the McLaren Autosport BRDC award. There's also BRDC Rising Star member backed by the BRDC, which is based here at Silverstone. So Jake Hughes, 6th. 7th on the grid, Guan Yu Zhu, who was the front runner in last year's rookie championship, got on the podium. His first time at Silverstone, though, because he wasn't here in 2015, so he's just trying to get some points here. And speaking to the guys at Prema, they kind of accept that this is a Carlin track. This is a track they know very well. It's not going to be one of the tracks where Prema can utterly dominate like they have done in the past at other tracks. So Guan Yu Zhu for Prema. He's new to that team in terms of F3 because he raced with Motor Park last year, the team that Joel Eriksson is with. However, he has raced with them before when he was racing in the Italian Formula 4 Championship, in which he finished the runner-up 2 years ago. So Guan Yu Zhu is 7th. Jake Dennis for Carlin in 8th, back to the team in which he started out his F3 career. Only here for the first 3 rounds. His concentration this year is on Blancpain GT racing in an Audi, which has already been a point scorer. 9th on the grid, Tadasuke Makino, the Japanese driver from Osaka, just 19 years of age, a Honda protege, picking up Honda backing last year, and finished 5th in the Japanese Formula 3 Championship with a few podiums last year. The same championship Jan Mardenborough finished 2nd in. Kenta Yamashita was the eventual champion, who went well at the Macau GP in the winter in November after the main European Formula 3 season had finished. And then 10th, Mick Schumacher, son of the 7-time Formula 1 World Champion Mick Schumacher, with Prema Power Team, having finished runner-up in the German Formula 4 and the Italian Formula 4 Championships last year. He comes here with his first season and has already been picking up trophies. He was the rookie class winner in race 2, and he was on the rookie podium in race 1 as well. So that's your top 10 on the grid. Row 6, we've got Niki de Mazepan and Ralph Aron for High-Tech, who've had a difficult weekend so far. Row 7, Joey Mawson for Van Amersfoort Racing, the Australian, who is the reigning German Formula 4 champion, and had a really impressive first race yesterday to finish in 5th place. Had a big battle for quite a lot of yesterday's race too, as well, with Lando Norris. He held him up for quite some time in the race before eventually fading out of the points. So Joey Mawson's 13th, Ferdinand Habsburg, the Austrian driver from Carlin, is 14th. Row 8, we've got Pedro Piquet and Harrison Newey for Van Amersfoort. Now, Harrison had a difficult qualifying. The whole of the VAR team had a difficult qualifying session, but they've been getting it back together in the races, and Harrison's race pace has been excellent. He came through from 16th to 6th in race number 1, and he came through from a loaded grid position up into the points again yesterday, up into 10th place. Marino Sato and David Beckman for Motorpark and VAR respectively start on the 9th row of the grid, and 19th on the grid, the only one on row 10, is Keivan Andres Sori for Motorpark. So that is the way they shape up for this 3rd and final race of the weekend. And the 5.9-kilometre Silverstone circuit is wide. It does provide some overtaking opportunities, as we have seen already in the first 2 races, which have both been very, very enjoyable indeed. So the 2017 European F3 Championship looks set to be a cracker. It may not be the largest field that we've ever had, but the quality is absolutely there all the way down through the grid. And it's going to be tough to call this year who's going to be battling for the championship. No one is going to dominate, I don't think. So Callum Ilott there to the right of your picture, focused on getting his first win of the season, his first win with the Prema Power Team. He's on pole position, but there was nothing between him and the 2 men directly behind him in qualifying. Lando Norris and Joel Eriksson, just 65 thousandths of a second, covering all 3 drivers. And we are all set to go racing. He will not want to be overtaken, as he was in race 1 by Joel Eriksson. But in between them, Lando Norris, who had a really bad start off the line in race 2 yesterday, which ultimately cost him a lot of points. Let's see if he can get a better start. I'm sure he will. He's already been up early training in the paddock. Lando Norris to the left of your picture in car 31 for Carlin as the race gets underway. And it's a better start for Lando Norris, but it's not brilliant. And he's okay, though. He stays second. I thought Gunter was going to get him for a while, but it's Callum Ilott that leads into turn 1 at Abbey Corner. Second place for Lando Norris, and Lando already going on the attack. Look, coming out through Farm Curve and down towards Village, but Callum has got the line covered off. Eriksson tucks in behind for second. A good start for Max Gunter, right behind them in 3rd place. And a good start as well for Jehan Daravala, who's tried to be and will be into 4th place. So he makes an excellent start. Jake Dennis, I reckon, is the blue Carlin car in 5th position. And Lando Norris struggling again, dropping back as they go through the field to 6th position. So here we go, side by side. He's not going to do it again, is he? Joel Eriksson around the outside. He might, you know, he's got the better line for that field. Through he goes. Joel Eriksson tried the move yesterday, it worked. He does it again today, and it works again, and he leads again. The championship leader ahead of the pole sitter in this race, but it is super tight up there. So better start from Lando Norris, but not ideal. He's nosed ahead of Daravala, though, at least, but he's going to have to be defensive on the way into Copse Corner here, which he is. He keeps the inside line. This is the best start to the race we've had so far for Jehan Daravala, the Indian driver, who, as I say, has got really good race pace, but has had some difficult starts to the race. There's Ralph Aron, number 7, in a sandwich, and he's got the 34 car of Jake Hughes to one side of him. He's got a VAR car to another side of him. Great battles going on here. Pedro Piquet is just behind in the number 5 machine, who's had his fair share of squabbles so far this weekend. But it's Eriksson from Ilott, Gunter. Norris has got himself back up to 4th place after it looked like he might be 5th or 6th at one point. Daravala, Schumacher, Dennis dropped down to the back end of the top 10. after a decent start off the line initially as Mazipan goes down the inside. We've got a spin for a prima car at Schumacher, but he gathers it up nicely. So spinning there at the first lap on the way into Stoke Corner. Schumacher, who's been in the points in both races so far, now out of the points. Contact there further back as well. And around goes Guan Yu Zhu, who's also been in the points in both races so far. So disaster for him. Came together, I think, potentially with Mazipan. Certainly one of the high-tech GP cars. We may get a replay later on, but here are the two leaders. And it is Joel Eriksson being shadowed by Callum Ilott. Callum lost time. He said in the press conference yesterday, it took me too long to get up to speed. And he lost 2 seconds within a couple of laps to Joel Eriksson. Then he stayed on that same gap for a long time and then slowly began to close up. He was actually only about half a second behind at one stage until Joel pulled back away. In the background, Lando Norris is trying to get past Max Gunter here, but Max has got the better line going into the left-hander at Brooklands. Goes a bit deep into the corner, though. Very defensive on the way through Luffield, and Lando Norris will be on the outside, but he might just be able to get a better run and cut to the inside coming out of Woodcut. It's going to be mirrors full, I think, when they get to Copse Corner for Max Gunter, who's going to hug the inside line and squeeze the gap between his Prema car and the pit wall, which he does now. Lando Norris has got half a toe in the door, though. Half goes for it, has to back off. That was close. That was an opportunity, but Max Gunter did just enough there to fend off Lando Norris, who's trying to get more silverware this weekend. Look at this brilliant run through one of the best sequence of corners in the world, through the Beckett's S's as they make their way through here. They enter that section in 6 gears. Unbelievable. If you ever come to Silverstone, you get the chance to see Formula 3 cars live. Make sure you go and stand on the Beckett's S's section on the outside of the corner. So there are your leaders. Only 0.6 of a second between them. It's Gunter being shadowed by Lando Norris, but fending him off for the final podium position so far. There in the background is Jake Hughes, who didn't get a great start to the race from the 3rd row of the grid. And Jake just on the fringe of the top 10 in the 34 car, but we know he's got good pace and we know he can come through. Here's a replay of the start then. So it was an okay start for Lando Norris. It was later on where he lost a few places, but then he quickly started to gain them back together again. Then he lost out as they went through the gears, and by the time they'd got to Abbey Corner, I think he was down to 5th place he'd got down to. So off the line it was okay, and then Max Gunter did get through to 3rd place. And then, yes, it was a little clip between Mazipan and Schumacher, I think. So off and around went Schumacher, but there's loads of runoff there, and he was able to gather it up quite nicely and get going again. And this was the contact, it was Ralph Aron that had the contact with Guan Yu Zhu. And an incident between Ralph Aron and Guan Yu Zhu is being noted, it says, by the officials on the timing screen here in the commentary box. 2 laps done, 0.2 of a second is the gap. Callum Ilott is starting to close down Joel Eriksson. Certainly much closer than he was at this stage of the race yesterday. And look how much quicker these two are than the rest of the field. Quite a big gap forming now of more than 2 seconds to this battle for 3rd place. Max Gunter, Lando Norris, Daravala, and then Dennis completing the top 6. There's Joey Mawson, who's made a decent start to the race, and a decent start as well for that man, number 17, Harrison Newey. He's already up into the points. So he's come up into 9th place, having started this race way back, 16th on the grid. And although he's come through really well in the races, I think this is the earliest he's got up into the top 10. So potentially a lot of points available here for Harrison Newey, who's been one of the stars of the weekend in the races. There are your top 2. There is Callum Ilott, the young driver from Cambridge here, who is not going to be happy this weekend unless he comes away with at least 1 race win. Having a course, had a brilliant qualifying session with 2 pole positions. And that 2nd place front row grid position. So they come through to complete another lap. Also went well off-season with Van Amersfoort, his last race with VAR, where he finished in 5th place in the Macau GP. And there is his old team, VAR, the orange and black colours of the Dutch team. And it's Joey Mawson, number 96, the Australian, the rookie, against the 2nd-year driver who's all over the grass and all over the curbs there, Harrison Newey. A bit bumpy and bouncy. They've got Ralph Aron with them as well in the number 7 blue and silver high-tech GP car, who is a bit cleaner and tidier and neater coming out of the corners. Look, and prizes a gap here, goes wheel to wheel with Harrison Newey. Newey's still got his nose in front, and Aron, the Estonian, will have to just back off out of it. We might get another bite of the cherry perhaps at the end of the straight, but Newey is defensive for now because of the Lefel coming up. Does the door open there? No, it doesn't. Newey covers it off nicely. And all of this is starting to bunch the field further still. Just behind them, you can see Jake Hughes. He's having a wheel-to-wheel battle with Pedro Piquet. And Pedro Piquet in the number 5 VAR car, former Brazilian Formula 3 champion, son of Nelson Piquet, who 30 years ago had that memorable Grand Prix race against Formula 1 adversary Nigel Mansell as Piquet goes through on the way into Copse Corner. The British Grand Prix, which Nelson Piquet and Nigel Mansell had that huge battle with. Nigel eventually coming out on top after an extra pit stop to change a wheel nut. So look at this tremendous battle just a bit further back from the top 3 or 4 as well. Jake Dennis is leading it, he's in 6th place. Mazepan is doing really well in 7th position, looking for one of his best finishes. The Russian went well in qualifying. He was a bit of target practice for people in the first race, got nerfed twice in the race, and the second time it was terminal. He ended up in the gravel trap at Woodcote Corner. Here is a replay of maybe a challenge for the lead, maybe a change of lead. Callum Ilott did it around the outside. So replay about Callum Ilott has now become the new race leader. Anything you can do, Joel, I can do better. And Callum Ilott is the new race leader, back in the lead for the pole sitter. And while we're looking at this battle further back down the field, there is Ferdinand Habsburg, who didn't have a great qualifying, but has shown good race pace as well in the 62 blue Carling car. Pedro Piquet trying the outside line now as well. Everybody's trying these outside lines. Maybe they watched the coverage from races 1 and 2 and saw these moves from Jake Dennis and from Joel Eriksson and have learned a thing or two. Out wide goes Ferdinand Habsburg over the grass, and the escape road rejoins but loses 2-3 places. He'll tuck back in behind Makino, the number 11 car, and out wide he went. I don't think it was a contact. I think it was just, oh no, maybe there was a little bit. He took a very wide line though, sort of put himself in a slightly dubious position and then just clipped the right rear wheel of the VAR car of Pedro Piquet. David Bettman is just behind in the other VAR car, number 55. And this midfield scrap, Piquet in 13th. Jake Hughes then in 12th place. Piquet is 11th, but the one who's in the points at the moment is Ralph Aron in 10th position. Callum Ilott is your race leader and has just set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 51.986 seconds. Still not lap record pace yet, but it's a good day for it, and we might see a new lap record. The old one having only come on Friday with these updates that we've had to the aero, the downforce on these cars, producing up to 17 or 18% more downforce. They've been around about half a second a lap quicker. And these updated kits will keep these 2012 initially built cars running through to the 2019 season in both this and the Japanese Formula 3 Championship. So we're looking at Jan Daruvala and Jake Dennis, who are battling for 5th and 6th positions, making their way onto the start-finish straight. Another fastest lap of the race for Callum Ilott, who is now suddenly 1.3 seconds clear of Joel Eriksson. There's Daruvala, number 27, backed by the Sahara Force India team. As I mentioned in race 2 yesterday, that's how he began his car racing career, was that in their 1 in a million talent search, and he was brought out of karting and into car racing and has been very rapid ever since. A couple of years ago, coming close to winning the New Zealand single-seater championship, the Toyota Racing Series, and the only one that beat him was Lando Norris. There was a feint up the inside there, just ahead for a possible move from Lando Norris, but he didn't get through. Gunter is still there in the number 3 car. This is the battle for 3rd place. So at the moment, it's Prema 1st, Motorpark 2nd, Ilott and Eriksson, Prema 3rd, with Gunter and Carlin 4th at the moment, with Lando Norris. VW-powered cars have won both the races so far this weekend, because Carlin and Motorpark are the only 2 teams on the grid with the VW engine. Mercedes powering all the other teams on the grid as it stands. Working their way then through the Beckett's S's. There's the battle for 5th place. Nothing between these two either, is there? Daruvala has been very impressive here at Silverstone. Don't forget, it's his first time here as well. There was some testing for some of the drivers in some of the teams in December, but that's hardly going to help them too much, given the conditions. The track temperatures are completely different. Here is a move from Lando Norris. He's got to go for it now. It's his best chance, but somehow Max Gunter keeps it late on the brakes. He's still going to be side by side, but Gunter will have the left-hander. He'll have the better line going into Val Corner. On the brakes they go. Lando Norris is trying everything, but this is great racing. And now he squeezes around the outside and gets the better line through Club. And Lando Norris goes through. Brilliant driving from both of them, but it's Norris who comes out on top. We saw Jake Dennis and Max Gunter go wheel-to-wheel yesterday. Good, clean driver is Max Gunter, and that was hard, but it was fair from both drivers. Brilliant precision driving, and it's Lando Norris 3rd, Now he's got to try and make up a couple of seconds if he wants to catch the lead scrap. We'll see what he can do. He's got plenty of time, but we'll see how much that's taken out of him and the tyres as he tries to close them down. Eilert might be gone, but Ericsson might be a target. Eilert's 2.3 seconds clear now. He's got his head down. Another fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 51.421 seconds. Lap record on Friday by Lando Norris was a 1 minute 51.183. And Guan Yu Zhu, the only one that's dropped out of the race so far, came into the pits after that collision earlier on. So it's been a disappointing weekend overall for Guan. I mean, he's picked up some points, but I probably hoped for more. But he'll be stronger at other circuits where he knows the car, knows the circuits. The team know the setup everywhere, Prema, with all of their success. So just get a few points and move on for the next one. But Guan Yu Zhou, I'm sure, is going to be a feature of the championship this year. Very talented Chinese driver. And this is Ferdinand Habsburg, a replay of him, moving up the inside of the number 11 Makino-driven high-tech GP car ahead of the Japanese driver. So Tadazuki Makino just dropping back a little bit there. Fastest second sector of anybody in the race so far for Callum Eilert, our race leader. So he could be on for another fastest lap of the race here if he can hang it together in the third and final sector. He's absolutely strolling away from Joel Eriksson at this stage. And look at this, Jake Dennis, another fantastic move around the outside. He's been doing this all weekend, as Jake, and around he goes. He claims this is not his favourite circuit, but you know what? He goes pretty well here, doesn't he? Well, he goes pretty well everywhere, to be fair. Look at this, brilliant stuff. Daravala is not having any of it. He wants to get the place straight back, but Dennis has sealed the deal going into the next corner, and Jake Dennis finds himself back up into the top 5. He's going to have a decision to make at some point. If he keeps doing this well in the championship, it's going to be hard for him to walk away after 3 rounds, isn't it, if he's first or second in the points. He's currently second after the first 2 races. That was the last of the late breakers, that. Almost like a karting move, that. Nicely done. Daravala didn't really do anything wrong. It was just Jake Dennis on the attack. Last dash braking and already pulling away. Nikita Mazepan having a really good run here. The Russian, who had at times a difficult first season in 2016. As a rookie, certainly much improved here. Was a points finisher a couple of times. A couple of 8th place finishes, a couple of 10th place finishes. But he could be on for his best ever result in Formula 3 here. Nikita Mazepan in 7th place. There's the number 1 car of Joel Eriksson on his own. A flash of red in the foreground is your race leader, Callum Eilert. 3.5 seconds clear now. Joel Eriksson in second. Of course, he might not have a full set of brand new slicks available to him. We're not party to that information, but you are limited in terms of the number of tyres that you can use throughout the course of a weekend. And one of the races you're going to have to run with used tyres, because you are limited to the number of slick tyres that you can use across the competitive sessions of the weekend, across qualifying and across the 2 races. Sets is all that's available. He got 3 races and 2 qualifying sessions, so it might be that he just hasn't got the grip available to him. Callum looks like he's on a flyer. So Callum still in the 151.4s. 151.253 was 2 laps ago, was the new fastest lap of the race. Still not a lap record though. Still belongs to Lando Norris. And we've now got 8 laps on our under the belt. Eilert leads, Eriksson second, Norris in third. Car 55 must respect the track limits, it says on the screen. That's David Beckman from Van Amersfoort, the young German driver. And a bit further back, I look down the inside for Marino Sato in the red and black motor park car, number 33, who's trying a move here on Tadazuki Makino. The 2 Japanese drivers going wheel to wheel. Makino's got the inside line, but have a look, round the outside comes Marino Sato, who pulled off 2 really impressive moves in race 2 yesterday. You can add that one to the list as well. He's a real racer, is Marino Sato. First saw him racing a few years ago when he came over to Europe, racing in the European Karting Championships, and he was pretty quick in that as well. So Marino Sato, another very nice move to gain a place. That puts him up to 15th position now. It's still a long way, unfortunately, from the points after a difficult start to the race. But Sato impressive. Ferdinand Habsburg is starting to come back a little bit now after his excursion a few laps ago, but he's 14th. Ahead of him is David Bettman, number 55, currently running about half a second clear of him. This is the long run down the hanger straight into Stoke Corner, which they take in 6th gear. Hold it on the throttle through there. Jake Hughes, just ahead in the 34 car, is in 12th place. And this is the battle for 13th and then 14th positions. I think they're catching Jake Hughes a little bit on this lap as well. So what did Jake do last time? 1:53.2. He was quicker last lap around, but I'm not sure he's quicker on this lap. David Bettman in the 55 orange and black VAR car. 15th in the championship last year. Missed the first 2 rounds because he was underage. He wasn't old enough to race. But impressed. A couple of third-place finishes at Zandvoort and Hockenheim, showing what he can do. But he hasn't raced here, of course, before, so we might not be seeing the best of David Bettman this weekend. But he is a talented young driver, 4th in the Italian Formula 4 Championship. As a very young driver in the 2015 season. Defending, though, from Ferdinand Habsburg and having to. Former junior karting champion as well as David Bettman. Of course, they all tend to come from karting. Now, Habsburg has carried speed around the outside here. He's got his nose in front, and he's just got to be brave, super brave on the brakes going into the left-hander at Brooklands. He cuts across before they get to the braking zone and makes sure of it. So that's Habsburg upper place, and that will put him into 13th now. David Bettman has got to be careful just behind as well, because Sato and Makino are not too far off his rear wing. Your race leader continues to pull the gap, grow the gap. 3.7 seconds now is the distance between Callum Ilott, your race leader after 9 laps, and Joel Eriksson in 2nd place. This will keep Joel Eriksson in the points lead, though. Lando Norris, 151.9 last time around, caught up Joel Eriksson by a couple of tenths, so it's coming down. Not massively, but enough to make me think there's going to be some more drama and excitement before we get to the checkered flag in terms of the podium positions, because I think Lando Norris has got time to catch Joel Eriksson. Can he pass him? Well, Callum Ilott proves that he can, as he did earlier, to reclaim the lead. That was a really important move, I think, psychologically, as much as anything, for Callum Ilott. And here we go again, looking down the inside. This is 33. The motorbike driver, Marino Sato, tried the inside line for once. That one's covered off by David Bettman. And Bettman is now going to come under attack again. He looks up the inside. Every chance he gets, he tries to go for it. He's a very exciting driver to watch, Sato. We like. Let's see what he can do later on in this lap, because I think he's definitely the quicker of the two at the moment. Former Italian Formula 4 racer. He comes from Japan, just 19 years of age. Lots of teenagers on the grid. A lot of them hoping to follow the likes of Max Verstappen and Lance Stroll into F1. Lock up and a bit of contact. Oh dear, around he goes. He almost caught that, but unfortunately he slid around. Makino did well to miss him, actually, because he was right behind all of that, and he's now onto the tail of David Bettman there in the VAR car. So he shrugs one Japanese driver off. He's got another one to deal with now in the high-tech GP car. The silver number 11 machine, the Silver Bullet, tries to come around the outside. No, not there. It's not going to happen. So he'll have to wait to maybe Copse Corner, or perhaps later on in the lap down towards Vale is a good opportunity, where they do get pretty hard on the brakes. So Callum Ilott, 4.2 seconds clear now. Personal best lap for Joel Eriksson, so he's not struggling that much. He is still being caught only by a tenth or so on that lap, though, by Joel Eriksson. Lando Norris is 3rd, Max Gunter is 4th. Jake Dennis is only 0.8 of a second behind him, but lapping at a very similar lap speed. Daravala is 6th, Matsipan is 7th, on for a career best. Mawson in 8th, Newey in 9th. Ralph Aron rounds out the top 10. Pedro Piquet is about 3 seconds behind him, and just outside the points. And it's Jake Hughes 12th, Ferdinand Habsburg 13th. We've been looking at this battle for 14th, which had this bit of contact. And just braked a bit too late, just clipped the back of the car ahead. It's always difficult. You've got to get as close as you can. You can't leave big gaps like you can on the road. But you've got to hope that the driver ahead of you brakes where you think he's going to brake. And you misjudge it ever so slightly, and that can happen. But it was fun while it lasted. Happily for David Bettman, it looks like that there's been no damage to the back of his car. That's the sort of incident where you can easily get a puncture to one of your rear tyres, but it looks okay for now. As I say, though, he has got Tadasuke Makino hot on his heels here, and looking like he's going to start applying lots and lots of pressure as well soon. Makino, the Honda protege, also just 19. As I say, the driver that's gone well in Japanese F3, and 2 years ago, runner-up in the Japanese Formula 4 Championship with 6 race wins. So lots of car racing pedigree, even though he's new to Formula 3. and getting a better run out of the corner here. It's nose to tail, the gap opens up, he's going to go for it. He draws alongside, but the left-hander, remember, is coming up. If you can hold it around the outside, you'll have the better line for Midfield, though. Almost bang wheels there down the straight, avoiding each other just about. And David Beckman holding on to his position by a slender, slender margin. So they're battling as if this is for the race lead. In fact, it is only for 14th place. Makino was in 14th place for about 2 seconds down the Wellington straight, but he loses the place again when they get to the corner. Beckman having to defend once more on the way to Copse. Tremendous battle this, out wide coming out of Copse, and it's allowing the next car to catch up, which is number 47, the motorpark driver, Kevin Andrasori. He's closing in now and trying to get in the mix. Good to see these battles further down the order, which are very entertaining indeed, even if they're not for the points. So the 17-year-old from Cologne, Kevin Andrasori, 12th in the Euro Formula Open Championship with Carlin last year, and came up through American racing through the Skip Barber series. He's now in Formula 3 for the first time as a rookie, but he's one of the rookies with less experience than some. And you've got drivers like Lando Norris who are classified as F3 rookies, but this is, you know, he's done a weekend in F3 at Hockenheim. He did the Macau GP, and he's got lots and lots of experience in Formula Renault. Before that, Formula 4. Lando Norris starting his car racing career in 2014 in the Ginetta Junior Championship on the support bill to the British Touring Car Championship, where he finished 3rd overall and was the rookie champion that year. OK, David Beckman doing a good job at the moment of fending off Tadasuke Makino. But Makino, I think he's not done yet. We're into the final 10 minutes of the race. Incident between car 11 and 55 is being investigated. That is Makino and Beckman. Incident between Beckman and Sato is noted. So that incident between these two is, I think, from this point of the circuit a couple of laps ago, where they were weaving around rather a lot down through Wellington Straight, came close to wheel banging. But they're still running. Will be looked at, doesn't mean it's been punished. We've had quite a few messages this weekend saying an incident's going to be looked at. We haven't actually received any penalties for driving standards after the race so far. Doesn't mean they're not going to do it in this one, but so far. Now, here we go again. Copse corner, outside line. No, not happening. And he drops back as a result of it coming out of the corner, which might just get Sori a little bit closer to him when they get to the Beckett's S's. At the head of the field, 2/10 quicker still is Callum Ilott. So he's got the gap out to 4.3 seconds now. Did 1:52.0 last time around. 1:52.2 for Joel Eriksson in second place, who's still a second clear of Lando Norris. Some laps he's a bit quicker, others he's a bit slower, but the gap has stayed around about 1 second between Eriksson and Norris. Gunter in fourth place is still only a fraction clear of Jake Dennis, only 0.8 of a second between those for fourth and fifth. Daravula is joining them as well, it seems, in sixth place. So good three-way scrap potentially is going to develop at the end of the race for fourth place. Matsipan and Morsana and Newey are all sort of out on their own, although Ralph Aron is not that far behind Harrison Newey. That gap's been coming down bit by bit as well. So there's chances for more overtakes in the final 8 minutes or so of the race. Coming out onto the Wellington Straight. This long, wide, fast circuit, this very historical circuit as well, Silverstone. Home, of course, to the British Grand Prix. Been a permanent British Grand Prix host since 1987, of course, for many, many years before that. Callum Ilott, your race leader, is just having a Sunday morning drive here, albeit at over 200 kilometres an hour. But he's making it look nice and smooth and simple and showing his real class here at Silverstone. And because not many have had a really good points hauls in both races, even though he had a DNF in race one, Callum Ilott still, you know, he's not that far behind in the points. It's very early to talk about points, but actually just that one good finish, that 1 second place finish yesterday gave him 18 points and put him up straight away to fifth place in the championship. It's only really Eriksson that's had 2 very strong races so far and about to have 3. Jake Hughes, number 34, the Birmingham-based driver. Say knows the circuit well, having won here in the past in Formula 4, the BRDC Formula 4. The BRDC Superstar showed what he could do in race 2, but he said yesterday in the press conference, we've been on the back foot. He said to me at the start of the weekend, actually, you know, we just went the wrong way with the setup in practice. And we've got there, we've gone the right direction, but we're a couple of sessions behind everybody else. And once you lose out in qualifying because they are all so evenly matched. It's quite hard to come through the field. Nobody is that much quicker than anybody else, which means, as Fritz van Amersfoort said to me yesterday, it's a hugely competitive championship. If you are just slightly out, slightly off the pace, you're nowhere. A couple of tenths of a second could be half the grid here. David Beckman has had his mirrors full with somebody or another all the way through this race, but he's defended well so far. Can he keep it up for another 6 minutes plus 1 lap? That's how long is left in the race. David Beckman in the VAR car, hugging the inside line. The longer it goes on, I suppose the easier it becomes for him. Not that it's easy, but it becomes easier because he knows where he's going to be attacked. He can anticipate it a little bit more. He can put the car in the right spot. He maybe knows where he's a bit quicker and he knows where his rival is a bit quicker. And this is one of the places he's definitely going to have to defend. Here we go again. It's like Senna and Mansell in Spain a few decades ago, isn't it? But no contact, no sparks, and no change of position. Beckman holds firm once more. Lots of resolve being shown. It's been a strong defensive drive. The only shame for him is that it's not going to yield any points unless something pretty dramatic happens up the road. Still, they're enjoying their race, they're enjoying their battle. It's been hard, it's been close, but Beckman has fended off once again the Japanese driver, who goes off the road this time to try and find a way through. Every time he does that, Suri, who's got the best seat in the house, gets a little bit closer to him. That's as close as he's come, though, I think, to overtaking Beckman, but through the Beckett's S is the German, much quicker. Whips the car through there, out through the left-hander at Chapel and back onto the Hanger straight, and he will be closed down upon. He will give a tow to the high-tech GP car behind, but I think Makino is going to be way too far back to think about anything down at Vale. Look, he closes the gap quite a bit, but he's still a length and a half behind. As they run out wide, careful not to go over the white lines too much, down the dip, over the bump, and into the chicane at Club now. Through Vale, the left, through Club, the right. And then getting themselves past the Silverstone wing and back onto the straight. There is your race leader, Callum Ilott, one of the 6 different race winners that we've got in the field, and looking to add to his tally with another career victory. Lando Norris adding his name to the list of race winners that we have in the field, and there are going to be many more, I think, that we'll see out there. Jake Dennis, who you see there, the blue Carlin number 21 car, is the driver with the most experience in F3 and the most race wins of the current field. The most winning driver ever in F3, of course, Felix Rosenqvist, the 2015 champion. Here we go again. Makino flings it to the outside. To no avail, though. He can't get through. David Beckman holds on once more. A double race winner. Black and white flag. This is an official warning now for track limits, and it's gone to David Beckman, who's having to make his car about a metre wider than he ideally wants it to be to keep the Japanese driver behind him. Going to have to respect track limits as well if you are either Jake Dennis or Jehan Daravala, because they've both been noted on the screen as well. Again, wide at Copse Corner. Again, no way through. And again, I think Beckman will pull away going through Beckett's corner. It's not been for the want of trying, though, has it? So 4 seconds is the lead advantage for Callum Ilott. Joel Eriksson second, and has actually pulled away a little bit from Lando Norris. Now the gap is 1.4 seconds. Max Gunter still has Jack Dennis close to him for 4th place. Daravala is 6th. Matipan, Mawson, Newey and Aron rounding out the top 10. Piquet's a bit closer to him, but still 1.9 seconds back. So Piquet not quite in the points yet. David Beckman, I think we're relieved to see the checkered flag here. He's dug in. Oh, he makes a mistake, clips the curb. That throws the car. He skips and bounces his way onto the straight. This is a big chance here for Makino, but the line is covered, and that was a good recovery. He did very well. He did very well indeed to fend him off, as comes Suri to the side of him. I thought he was going to give the place up then, because he just thudded the curb on the way out of Club Corner and made his way hop, skipping and bouncing on the way onto the straight, but quickly snatched it back and covered the line off. Now Jake Hughes coming under attack from Ferdinand Habsburg. This is going to be a stunning move if he can pull it off. Look at this, there's a bit of contact through the corner, but Habsburg's having none of it. He muscles his way through, and Habsburg gets the inside line, but it wasn't without contact from either party, that one. Hard racing, but Habsburg is through, up to 12th place. Don't think Hughes liked that very much, and he wants to come back at him on the way into Copse corner. Again, they're wheel to wheel here, going into the right-hander, but Habsburg will fend him off. But Hughes, I think, has got the red mist has come down here now. A black and white flag to car number 11 to track limits as well is Makino. That's not entirely surprising, is it, in that battle with Bettman? So they've both been warned now for their track limits. And car number 96 is another one that's not been given a black and white warning yet, but has been noted. That's Joey Mawson, who once again going well on his debut in the points. Everybody's been, Habsburg's been noted. Incident between Habsburg and Hughes noted. That's for the wheel banging, isn't it, that we just saw about 30 seconds ago. Into the final minute of the race here at Silverstone. I think the award for best entertainment goes to Makino, doesn't it, in this one? And the award for best defending goes to Bettman. Ralph, the Schumacher car now coming under attack. The other Japanese driver that was a bit of a star of the show was Marino Sato. And Sato, after his spin, has got another battle on his hands here. So Mick Schumacher, 17th, not going to pick up points this time around, but has been impressive so far here at Silverstone. But Schumacher and Sato battling over 17th place. The last two runners. And here we go. Launches down the inside. This time he's through. Makino is through. Finally, but he runs deep into the corner, and straight away, back around the outside of him goes Bettman. So Bettman was behind again for about 2 seconds, and again he immediately struck back. That was clever driving, actually. He saw what was coming, he let him go, knew he was going to go deep into the corner. The German got him straight back on the way out. Look, Sori is right with them now as well. Three of them together. The clock has run down to 0. And Sori is going to just maybe try and get in between these two. No, not quite. On the way through Brooklands and into Luffield. Wow, this has been the battle of the race so far. Incredibly enjoyable. Incident between Habsburg and Hughes is now going to be investigated after the race, it says. So the stewards want to look into that one. They want to keep the racing as clean and fair as they can. And there was definitely contact between the pair of them, but it's up to the stewards to decide whether that's okay or not. Either way, neither are in the points. Through the S's once more, then our clock has ticked down to 0. Our race leader has gone through across the line just in front of the commentary box and now starts his final lap of the race. 5.2 seconds clear. Callum Ilott, we all thought he's going to be a championship contender. I don't think anybody really changed their minds after the incident in race 1. That could have happened to anybody. In fact, Callum said in that run into Abbey Corner, I went into the corner 7 or 8 kilometres slower than I normally would, but it still just snapped away from me. I had no chance of catching it. But he's done well to shrug it off. Disappointed with second place yesterday. Happy he will be in about a minute's time when he crosses the line. And surely wins his first race of the season. And that will boost him right up in the points. But it's going to be Joel Eriksson that will walk away, by my maths, as the points leader going into round 2 at Monza at the end of the month. Final lap then. Surely Makino's going to have another go, just for fun. See what he can do. Not quite close enough at this stage. Bettman, no, he's struggling, isn't he? He's going a bit deep into the corners. Through the complex, through Village, through the loop, and onto the Wellington Straight. And this is where Makino now starts to wind things up on the run through Brooklands, all the way to Copse Corner, really. That's where most of his attacks have come from. Is he close enough? Actually, not quite as close as he wants to be this time. But maybe that will give him the element of surprise somewhere else around the lap. Bettman, just half a lap to go now to hold on to his position, albeit just 14th place. 6.2 seconds was the gap that Callum Ilott started with ahead of Eriksson, who's still a second clear of Lando Norris. They look set to be the top 3. The checkered flag awaits Callum Ilott here at Silverstone to again make it 3 different race winners from the 3 races at Silverstone. There he is, Callum Ilott. Lots of friends and family here. He wins his first race of the season. It's his 3rd career victory in the Formula 3 European Championship. Callum Ilott with a perfect drive there. And it got better and better for him this weekend, didn't it? He is a championship contender. 2nd place goes to Joel Eriksson. 3rd place to Lando Norris. Good move to get himself back on the podium up against Max Gunter, who had his mirrors full of Jake Dennis all the way through to the line. But it's Gunter 4th, Dennis 5th. Daravala, impressive again in 6th place. Matiban will be delighted with 7th Vitek GP, the Russian driver. And it's going to be Bettman fending off Makino all the way to the flag here. Makino just ran out of steam, I think, on that last lap. So well driven, David Bettman. but unfortunately no points. But it was a good determined bit of driving that to keep all these drivers, all these Japanese drivers attacking him at bay. There is your race winner. Callum Ilott hits his first victory for Premier Power Team. He took the team's 89th and 90th pole positions earlier on in the weekend, and he has just taken the team's 81st race victory. And it's not very often you have to wait until the third race of the weekend before you get a Prema car taking the checkered flag as a race-winning car. It's the 81st victory since the championship was developed into its current format in 2012, and it's the British driver who does it on home soil. So Callum Ilott wins. Joel Eriksson and Lando Norris will join him on the podium. Max Gunter 4th, Jake Dennis 5th, Jayan Daravala in 6th, Nikita Matsipan 7th, Joey Mawson 8th, Harrison Newey 9th, Ralph Aron rounding out the points in 10th place, with Pedro Piquet in 11th. A few quick highlights now. That was the start. Initially, not bad off the line for Lando Norris, but as, look, he went up through the gears, so they came through, and it was 5th by the time he got to the first corner. And then we had these two already beginning to squabble, and Joel Eriksson got himself up into the lead, but he didn't stay there for long. Bits of contact further down the field. That was Mick Schumacher being spun around. That was Guan Yu Zhu, his teammate at Prema, being spun around after a bit of contact. That one was with Ralph Aron, who was ahead of him, and that one wasn't being investigated. And this was the move from Lando Norris, or up against Max Gunter. He got his foot in the door. This was the beginning of the move, because it took a couple of corners before he got through. Started at Stowe, then they went into Vale. It still looked like Gunter might have it, but he kept around the outside, then finally down the inside at club corner for Lando. Nice move, that. Clever driving and good fair driving from both of those young men. And then we had Jake Dennis for the umpteenth time this weekend going around the outside of somebody. Nice move, Jake. Of course, he's not really worried about points and championships. He's just going to go for it this weekend because he's not involved in the whole season. This was unfortunate. This was after a good battle race, or half a race long, between Sato and Beckman. There was a bit of coming together, and Sato was spun around. Ferdinand Habsburg and Jake Hughes then got a bit too close for company. Will touching there, Will's touching there again. Habsburg was not going to let it go. It was right on the inside. Neither driver wanted to concede space into the corner. Makino spent ages staring at the back of Beckman's rear wing, finally got through, and it lasted half a corner, because then through again came Beckman, who, as I say, was pretty smart about all that, let him come diving through and then just nipped it back on the way out of the corner. And this was the moment that Callum Ilott took his first race victory of the season. How many more will there be for that young man in 2017? Because he is one of the drivers who is only here for one thing, and that is to win the championship title. So Callum Ilott wins here at Silverstone. There you can see the cars are in the Parc Ferme area, waiting to go in the podium. And there's confirmation of the top 10 results for you and our point scorers. And for anybody to win by 6.8 seconds is a pretty huge margin in Formula 3 racing when you consider there were only thousandths of a second between them all in the qualifying sessions. So it was metronomic, that, wasn't it, from Callum Ilott? But what was most impressive was the way, after dropping behind Ericsson for a second time in 2 days, he then fought back, gritted his teeth, and went around the outside to get the lead and win the race. Confirmation of the rest of the runners there. Only one DNF. I think everybody came home in race 2, so there haven't been too many DNFs this weekend. Guan Yu Zhu the only one not to finish. So we'll have our 2 podiums, our overall podium. First up, Callum Ilott couldn't wait to get there. He's already on the top step of the podium. Joel Eriksson, good sportsmanship between these two. They were congratulating each other after the qualifying sessions as well. And Lando Norris, there's really nice sportsmanship between these three. And there are your top 3 for race 3 here at Silverstone. And we'll now have our winners' national anthem. We've had two British winners here at Silverstone. Lando Norris on Friday, Callum Ilott on Sunday, and the man to the left of your picture from Sweden was our winner yesterday. And it's the 2015 champion, Felix Rosenqvist, who comes to present the trophies, and he presents it to Callum Ilott as our race winner. That's the broadest smile I've seen on Callum's face since Friday when he went so well in qualifying. A second place trophy going the way of Joel Eriksson, who, by my maths, is going to move on to 55 points now and will be the championship leader going to the next round. And Lando Norris signals his arrival, but he knows there's work to do. This is a track Carlin knows well. This is a track Lando knows well. It's not always going to be this easy, not that it's ever easy, but Lando Norris, we already knew he was a talent. We definitely know he's a talent now. Backed by McLaren Honda. Let's see what he can do for the rest of the season, but he is very much a championship contender. All three of them are, and there are others that are going to be in the mix as well, like Max Gunter, possibly like Jake Hughes as well, Guan Yu Zhu. Champagne time. It's a bit early in the day, but their weekend's work is done, and Joel Eriksson has a swig of the bubbly as we look back at some more of the highlights from Silverstone. It's been a fantastic weekend, lots of battles, a few moments out there, but largely very good driving standards all around, and some brilliant overtaking and displays of driving. The battles have been hard fought from the very top of the field all the way down through the midfield to those just battling for pride a bit further back, but all of them gaining valuable experience here at Silverstone. Callum Ilott, though, comes out on top the third race of the weekend. Our next visit will be to Monza at the end of the month in 2 weeks' time. And we're going to have our rookie podium next up. So it's Monza at the end of the month. The PoGP is next up in May. Hungaroring for a fantastic event in June. We go to the Norris Ring in July. At the end of July, Spa, Zandvoort in Holland in August. The Nürburgring, Spielberg and Hockenheim round out the championship. Lando Norris, top step of the podium. As a rookie this time, he's our leading rookie. I think he's going to need a bigger trophy cabinet. He's probably got a whole room full of them already. But he is our top rookie, and it's the second rookie trophy of the weekend for the young man from Mumbai, Jayan Duravala, second place in the rookie standings. And Joey Mawson from Australia, our third best rookie, as we'll now get our rookie winner's national anthem. The sounds of the British national anthem drowned out by the cars coming out ready for the next race of the weekend here at Silverstone. But a fine start to his full debut campaign in Formula 3 for Lando Norris, who has been up there in the overall fights in 2 of the 3 races, already a race winner. I'm very impressed as well with Jayan Duravala and Joey Mawson, the 2 drivers either side of him. So more silverware. Felix Rosenqvist once again presenting our winner's trophy. This time it's the rookie class victory, gives it a little polish and adds it to the growing collection. Jayan Duravala is going to be a force to be reckoned with in this rookie championship title as well, I reckon, given how well he's performed this weekend on a circuit that he's never driven around or raced around before. And likewise, Joey Mawson has never raced here or competed here at Silverstone before, so he's had a very fine weekend as well, particularly that first race, which was very impressive indeed. So our top 3 rookies here after a fantastic weekend of racing at Silverstone. Monza is coming up on the 29th and 30th of April. But we look forward to some more great racing there, because Monza is another circuit which always provides us with brilliant, brilliant entertainment. And the PoGP is one not to miss around the streets of Po. The PoGP is one of the highlights on the International Formula 3 calendar. So there is the view of the Silverstone wing. Still lots of racing ahead here for the public that have come, but I'm sure they've enjoyed F3. From me, Chris Hartley, and the team, thanks for watching. We'll see you again very soon. From Formula 3, it's goodbye for now.